Yes.
Okay, so we will call the meeting of the Sign Advisory Council to order at 9 a.m. on June 30th, 2020. And as a preliminary matter, this is Chris Young, Chair. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Paul Wolf.
Yes.
Mark Catone.
Yes.
And Ben Nomad.
Here.
And
All right.
Mr. Chair, Kevin's also here.
Oh, and Kevin Kuster.
Good morning. Here.
Good morning. All right. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Kathy Flynn.
Present.
Anticipated speakers on the agenda. I think Ben is the only one.
Here.
Okay. Good morning. The open meeting of the Sign Advisory Council is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the Governor order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Sign Advisory Council is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. Okay, thank you guys. So we would like to adopt the minutes.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, there are no minutes on here.
Excuse, not the minutes, excuse me. Adopt the agenda, rather.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't move.
Is there a second? Anybody want to second the motion?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor? Are those in favor? Paul? Are you in favor?
He's muted.
Sorry.
Aye.
And Ben?
I suspect I may have to abstain from that.
I think you just have to abstain from the review of the applications.
Okay, then aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin?
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, thank you. And we will skip the approval of minutes since there are none, which brings us to the first application.
Okay.
So Ben, you'll be recusing yourself as a member, and we give you the floor to make your presentation.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, this is the first time I'm using a flash drive. Can everybody see the application in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. So I know that Ben, you have 2-7 Fair Street. So did you want to talk about this one first, or?
Unfortunately, I can't see what you're looking at. I'm very sorry. I didn't know this
You
meeting was
can-
going to happen today. But so which
do you
are you
have
looking
a-
at, the research library or the other one? Or the,
This one is 7 Fair Street, and it's QMH on, what is it? I
Okay,
think it's
so the Quaker Meetinghouse one.
Right.
Yep.
So,
So, yes, so thanks everybody for meeting on all these. I realize it looks like a big wad of applications, but hopefully we can move through these relatively quickly, and it makes a lot of sense. So the NHA is looking to update their signage on all of their historic sites, but no real groundbreaking changes here. It's really just kind of making sure all the signs are of similar style so that any visitor to the sites can identify the NHA property, and in kind of continuous, viewing of whether it's, here on Fair Street or up on Main Street or the Pony Pasture or whichever, but that the signage is of a consistent shape, size, or relative size, and color, and all that. So this is so we're here, started at the Quaker Meetinghouse on Fair Street, and if you scroll down to the 5th page of my application, that's really where the meat and potatoes of this application is. Are you there yet?
yes, I am.
Yes.
Okay, so you can see that there's an existing Quaker Meetinghouse sign there next to the right of the door, and that sign will be removed, or is proposed to be removed, and in its place is this new sign that you can see above there. It's a couple inches bigger, but it's not of huge difference. But it is there to identify the building and its name.
Ben, what is the old sign that is there? Is there a photograph of that, just so for our frame of reference?
God, I wish there was a better one. That is pretty blurry. But I can, if I can provide that. But it basically says Quaker Meetinghouse, and it has the little NHA symbol on it.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I don't think I have it. It doesn't look like I have a very good picture of it at the moment.
Okay. Let me ask a question of the board members. I'll go down. Do you guys think that, assuming, Ben, that this is an application that there's going to be all these applications sort of tie together in the sense of a branding concept, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll just go down the line. Paul, do you feel like we should be reviewing these individually, or do you want to have like the full presentation and then go back and review each individually?
I think we should look at them as a group. They're all the same. I believe they're all the same size.
Okay.
Correct.
Kevin, how do you feel about that?
I think they're basically the same. I think there's a couple that are different. There's one that has some applied letters.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, but as far as just
I've got some overall comments that I think are farther reaching than the individual comments.
well, that's why I want to just so. Should we just have him present everything? I'm just trying to get a sense of the board's opinions. Have him present everything, and then we'll go back so we kind of have the whole picture, and then can make comments based on that.
I'm prepared to talk about it all right now.
Okay. And Mark, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think there's some value in seeing the big picture, and then if we have concerns, we can pull those out individually.
Okay. So then, Ben, you want to go through and kind of let's touch on each of these, and then we'll open the floor up for the comments.
Great.
As a whole.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So if we don't have any questions on this one yet, then are you guys ready to go to the research library application? Because that one's a little different.
I get.
Excuse me, Ben, you have 2-7 Fair Streets. Did you want to do the second one?
If that's the pleasure of the board, then yeah, to review that one.
Is that okay? Okay. So this is a 7 Fair Street Research Library. One.
Okay.
Go.
Page 3 is kind of, I don't know, these all got kind of jumbled
Yeah.
here, but page 3 is really where the presentation is here. The intent here is to apply letters to the frieze of the entrance to the research library in the same fashion that the Whaling Museum has lettering applied to a frieze over the entrance. And they are applied directly to that frieze board. And as you can see in that picture, that's a representation of what we want it to look like. So it's a really easy way for people to identify not the Quaker Meetinghouse, but the research library in the side there.
Question?
Paul?
Yeah, what's the sign above it and how does it compare to the words research library? In other words, the
Yeah.
Kentucky Historical Association, 1804.
Yeah, so there's the very historic lettering above there, Nantucket Historical Association, and the dating that goes along with that. You know, it's an interesting lettering, but it doesn't tell you what actually happens inside that building. So it's a great throwback.
Is the lettering on the research library words going to be the same as above?
Yep, they're the same scale, and it would appear as if they're really very similar in font. Yep.
Okay.
Although the old Nantucket Historical Association lettering is all in capitals, where we're actually not requesting that. So that is a little difference there.
Okay.
So should we go to the next one, or anybody else
Okay.
have any questions on this one?
So the next one.
Well, I've got some comments on this property.
Okay.
Okay, so Kevin, do you want to make any comments on this?
I do. This also includes the other smaller sign, both at 7 Fair Street. Can you hear me okay? I'm getting some feedback.
You know what? I have to turn off my.
Yeah, just.
I feel like this is a little bit of a shell game. The signs that are on the buildings currently, I think, are much more attractive than the ones that are being proposed. They're in a better scale. They have a better hierarchy to the typography. They have a smaller logo compared to the name of the building. If you look closely at the plaque that's being proposed, the type is practically running into the corner of the frame. The logo's on top, which in the hierarchy of reading information, I think that the name of the property should be what dominates. I really don't. I don't think this is a positive change from what exists. What exists now are signs all of the same size. There are 2 colors. The logo is and the name is pushed back in a gray, and the name of the building is in black. I don't have a problem moving them to different locations, but I think they're very well done signs as they are. When it comes to the lettering on the frieze, I think that's totally inappropriate. It's taking away from the older inscribed sign that's on the building, and I think there's a much more simpler way with a similar size sign as to what the smaller ones that exist that you could mark that entrance. I think it's way heavy-handed for the research library. That's all I have.
Okay, Mark, do you have any comments that you want to add?
It's a little hard to judge, I guess, if we don't have any documentation of the existing sign to compare. So I have a hard time sort of, I wouldn't say agreeing or disagreeing with, I guess, with Kevin, if we don't have a reference to the original signage. I don't have the same concerns for the lettering as proposed on the frieze. That doesn't really concern me too much. It seems like actually an appropriate location versus another plaque attached to the building somewhere. And it's viewed at a distance from the road. And then I guess I would hold my comments on the new signage again until we see the rest of the package maybe. And maybe through the chair, Ben, do we have any photos of the original signage?
You know, I think we're gonna have to reconvene on this when it comes, and I will provide that. I'll provide the existing size and a photo of each individual one, because at this moment in time, I can't provide that for you. But I will tell you that I did go around every single one of these signs with Ashley, the NHA woman who's helping along with this. And we measured each one, and we tried to scale the new one to really fit the old one. So I'm happy to provide that information for you, but I don't have it at the exact moment.
Enter your meeting ID.
Kathy, are you able to pull up the other plaque sign that's going to go to the right of the door? Just
Is that the previous one? Yeah.
And to Kevin's point, you know, I think that flipping the NHA logo and the name of the building, I think that's a good idea. And I also would agree with Kevin that reducing the size of the logo and the NHA, Nantucket Historical Association font size is also a good idea. I feel like I'm in agreement with Kevin on that. I think that could be done better.
Yeah, I think looking at this again, I would concur. Again, holding maybe final comments until we see the previous signage.
Yep.
Did you? Can you see it right now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. You can see the first one. It says Quaker Meetinghouse.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure I'm doing it right. So do you need to see another sign?
Do you want to run through them, Ben?
Yeah, you ready to go to 10 Mill Street?
Yeah.
So let me know when you guys can see what we're looking at here.
Okay. So this is on page 5 as well. Okay. Everybody
Page 5,
can see
yeah,
that?
page 5. Okay. So can you guys see it?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So the pony field, you know, there's an existing sign there. Again, I will provide the dimensions and a photo of each one of those for you for the next meeting, but same format for the sign. And I guess the comments can, I think I would continue to agree with Kevin that although this Nantucket Historical Association is a little smaller and a little better in relation to the name of the field or the pony field lettering, I think we could still reduce that NHA logoing and reverse the location from top to bottom. I think that would be an improvement to make the name of the site bigger and more prominent. I feel like that's a misstep in this design.
You know, I would, Ben, I'd also add another comment, I guess, is that other than not really, like I said previously, I think the current example is better. And one of the reasons I think it's better is because it's a little more horizontal. And when you're proposing to move all of these signs to fences, I think the more horizontal version is going to be more appropriate on a fence rail. I feel like these are way too much work to gain so little bit of consistency and size than what you already have, frankly. I think what you have is pretty darn good, and it may need to be relocated, but
Yeah, well, in this case, we're not relocating it. We're just putting up a new sign. So, yeah.
Ben, can I ask a question? Then what's why the previous signs look like they're darker in color? Were they natural? They gray? What are they compared to the white that's now proposed?
Again, I will provide you with a picture at our next meeting of each individual one, so you can really dig in. But I believe that if you're looking at this page 5, you see the mock-up, and then you see the next photograph. That's actually a wooden shape of what we're proposing, and then below that, on the bottom picture is the original. So the original is white with a dark paint, and they use this brown mock-up, which is not helping illustrate the proposed.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
All right, I'll be right back.
But again, I've made a big note for myself. I'm going to take a picture of
Yeah.
each one and provide a dimension so that we can.
Okay.
You guys can sink into that a little better.
Thanks.
Okay, we're good on this one.
All right. So where are we going next?
So we're going to number 8 Gardner Street.
Gardner. All right.
Um,
And we are here.
page 5 as well.
Yep. So same
Doesn't show
location.
Doesn't show the size.
The proposed size is 16 by 9.5. Again, I will provide the existing signage in a follow-up meeting. I think, again, we can look at the switching and scaling of the NHA and switching of which goes where. I also wonder about the date on this one, if it could go next to the house and try to fire hose cart, and then it goes house dash 1886, all in just 2 lines rather than in this 3 lines. I haven't looked at these in quite a while, so it's kind of refreshing to review again.
Question, Ben?
Yep.
On all of these signs, the lettering is, how is it made?
Painted. It's hand carved, hand painted.
Okay, thank you.
My suspicion is, Ben, is that they're going to be silk screened, because I don't know how you would possibly hand carve and do that logo and all that.
Yeah, the logo. Yeah. Well, maybe let me make a note of that, and I'll ask Ashley how they plan to do the logo. Because I personally just painted all my own signs for my business, and those tiny little letters kill me.
Yeah, and I
have to win it.
I think it would be at that scale, even hand carved letters are going to be really hard to do. My suspicion is that it would be silk screened like the existing ones, which I think is fine. It's better than decals.
Okay, so on to the next.
I
guess.
apologize.
Okay.
Sorry, go
I
ahead,
lost my
Chris.
connection. I lost my connection for a while, so sorry, guys. And I guess I'm not sure how strong my connection is. Does somebody else want to take the chair position just technically, or did you already do that?
No, we did not. The chair.
We didn't. We just went over.
Yeah, I'm glad you continued. I was having a heck of a time getting back on.
We just approved everything, Chris.
That's fine. That's fine. I hope you voted
Okay, then
my
that's
replacement.
okay then.
We just put you on Concom, Chris.
Okay. Ouch.
Oh, wow.
Before we get off the cart house, I had one question for Ben.
Yep.
And maybe it's irrelevant given the signage that's there. This building originally had a quarter board over the top of it. And then that was removed. It must be the current sign that's on there now that we see. Is there additional signage when the doors are open, or and is that little sign that's on there now the hours, or?
Yeah, I don't know what that sign is on the door there.
Right here.
Picture. I don't know what that is. I when I reviewed all this with Ashley, I was strongly giving her notice that the TV screens in this building were not appropriate and that was being removed. That she made note of that. I can't personally go in there and remove it, but I have given them notice that that's it. I can find out what that sign is on the door there.
Yeah. Okay, that was my only question. Thanks.
All right, so on to 8 Howard Street.
Okay.
In the conversation I missed, Kevin, did you address the Nantucket Historical Association name and logo scale on the sign?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
That would be reduced. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
And Ben's going to provide some documentation of what's existing so we can compare the two.
Thank you.
So Ben, now it's 8 Howard Street.
Okay. So, yep, back at page 5 of this document.
Mhm.
Currently, and again, we will provide you with the as-built sign, but currently there's a big, heavy sign that sits between those beautiful windows there. Or is one of them a door? One of them's a door and the other one's a window. Anyway, and I don't know where it came from, but it's really not attractive, and it's big and really takes up a lot of the architectural beauty of this building. So we're removing that sign, and we're removing signage from the physical building altogether, and we'd like to now move the kind of placard sign to the board fence on the property line. You know, I think that, you know, and you'll see this through a couple other applications, getting the sign off the physical building, I think, is an improvement. It provides the building its own independence from being kind of branded, and we're trying to do that as much as we can throughout the NHA properties. The sign is a little bigger than the previously applied for signs, but it is much smaller than the existing one that's there. So it's an improvement in 2 ways. One, we're getting signage off the physical building, and we are reducing the actual size of the sign that will be at the property.
Question? Ben, there's another sign to the right of this picture at the entrance to the backyard.
Okay.
Does that come into play?
To the right. Okay, I would have to look at that.
It's not in the pictures. It's a gate to the backyard, and I think it tells you what hours it's open or open to the public or something like that.
Okay.
I think we should kind of look at both of them.
Okay. Yeah, I'll when I go and document the existing signage, I'll also get a copy of, or get a
Okay.
picture and scale of that sign content.
Okay. All right, so we're on to number.
I just have a comment on that one that I understand that it may be smaller than what's existing, but you're moving it on the road. So your point of view, your distance is going to be 3 to 5 feet away. You're going to be reading it. I don't think that you know justifies it being any bigger than the pony field or the meeting house. If the goal was to keep them all the same, I think should fall in the same size format. It's probably trying to work a little harder down there on that, you know, where this building's located, because of where it is. By moving the sign out to the corner there, it'll have more dominance on the street, which I guess is okay, but I think it should be like the rest of them. It should be located to where the entrance, where the gate is, not necessarily on the corner of the street. So I just think there's some, you know, inconsistencies with size and placement and, you know, hierarchy of information.
Okay. So we're on to number 6.
99 Main.
99 Main, yes.
All right.
So there we go. Page 5.
Yep. So currently there is an existing sign on the building, and it's kind of behind. You can see that on the picture. There's a circle there, right at the kind of trunk of that tree. So there's a sign way over there. This house is often neglected or not to be, people don't understand that this, oh, there you can see a good picture of the house sign there in the corner.
Yeah.
So we want to take, again, we want to take the signage off the actual building and apply it to the fence, the existing fence, as indicated there in that picture. Again, I think we can all agree that changing the formatting of the sign is going to be important. But
Ben, how is that applied? It looks like it's sort of over the handrail. Is it going to be like that, or are you thinking of having it below the handrail?
yeah, it should be below the handrail, I think, on that post there, but below the handrail, I think is the right place for it.
Okay. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
If I may, I don't know if either is great. That I will say on the fence in this application feels a little clunky. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it just needs to. It's hard because you're trying to brand the signage, but every property is unique. So I don't know that I have an answer or a solution, but at least as depicted here, it feels like it's not doing any justice to the fence, which is actually in this case kind of attractive. And I can see there is an argument to remove the plaque from the building itself, but oddly, in some way, the plaque of the building doesn't bother me as much in this case, because I see the house first, and then the sort of the sign later, which is probably not what the NHA wants. But
Oh, here it is.
yeah, it's like super simple. And again, look how small that logo is compared to the name. To Kevin's point, so I guess I'll hold final comments, but I'm not sure that I'm as convinced with this particular application and suggestion so far.
I would agree with Mark. I don't think the fence thing works here. The other thing that, living on Main Street, I can tell you stuff is broken off of houses and fences all the time, and that sign would probably not make it through Fagawi weekend if it were on the fence.
Ben, I would put a bicycle near that sign.
Yeah.
And tie it to the fence. That may preclude the fence sign.
Oh yeah, or just a cooler full of beer or something like that. Give them some other distraction. Yeah.
I'll fix you up. I'll hook you up.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the unspeakable and just let you guys lambaste me. You think that for like a freestanding menu box would be more appropriate? Because I kind of agree with you about the fence sign looking awkward, but if trying to.
That came to mind for me too, to be honest, Chris.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking all the way back to, even for greater light with like a simple little menu box or something that just sits behind the fence. I'm not suggesting that just yet, but I'm wondering if that, this might be an exception to the rule with some of these properties. I don't know.
But
there's a menu box now already at the Quaker Meetinghouse property that sits on the road for, I think, events and such that we've reviewed in the past.
Comment, Mark, I don't think this house is open to the public except for you're invited to a meeting or something.
Right. I don't think there's a lot of functions that go on here. It's more for people that are staying over.
To have a menu box would be implying people can go in, and I don't think the public can just walk in the door.
Okay, thanks for pointing that out, Paul. I was thinking that this was like a forgotten museum, but
no, I think it is a kind of a forgotten museum. I mean, I think that this is a place where people can, well, barring global pandemics, but can come and tour the rooms and see the decoration, and I think it is a museum that people walk through.
Okay.
It's not
I could be wrong. I may be thinking back 25 years, but
I think you're wrong, Ben. There's a lot of restrictions on the inside of that place, including furnishings. And my understanding is that it's used primarily for sort of conference meetings and when they have speakers and whatever, that they're housed there. You know, if you could simply try taking the existing sign, which is smaller, and it would probably fit on one of the risers on the stairs or in place of or on the house number or something. I think more commonly this is just referred to as 99 Main anyway, but I think there's a more graceful way to address it than sticking it on the fence.
Yeah, I mean, ideally we'd like to put it to the left or right of the front door facade or the surround, but we have those downspouts there that really chew up that field, and so that has, those downspouts create, you know, a placement issue for kind of where you typically see that sign. You know, I guess I continue to consider getting, if possible, getting signage off the physical structures, just from a, I don't know, respect to the old building. I know that to Mark's point, the freestanding sign is definitely something that was talked about at some of the meetings I've had with the NHA, and I've kind of said, don't even try. So I may look like an idiot if you guys say, hey, let's do some freestanding signs, which is not a bad thing. I have no problem going that direction, but yeah, I didn't even want to go there. So, which is kind of why we looked at this fence, because it is existing, and fence signs are typically approvable in some form. So I guess I'll, you know, as I get more information and we meet again, if you guys continue to think that a freestanding sign is the way to go, you know, let's keep that conversation open, I guess.
Ben, could you confirm with someone at the NHA whether or not the public is invited to walk into this house?
Yep. Yeah, I have it on my list here. How is it
Okay.
used? Yep.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'll close this out, and the next one is 96 Main.
So right across the street, the Hadwin House. Again, there's an existing sign on the pillar. I don't want to call it a corner board, but there's a sign over there. And in this case, again, we want to remove the sign from the physical building, bring it down to street level. We have a menu box on the left, and then we have the identification sign on the right.
All right. Any comments on that, Kevin?
No, nothing more to add other than, you know, I think you could just move the one you have.
Okay. Paul?
No, good.
Mark? Okay.
Well, hold on.
Mark?
My only thought is, so to the left is an information menu box. Is that accurate?
Yep.
Okay. I feel like that it's almost redundant in terms of like the menu box plus a sign. I feel like in a way that could have been combined, but again, that's, I guess, getting away from the branding and incentive here. And probably, you know, relocating the sign in this case off the building onto somewhere on that fence as proposed or merged is better. I think it puts it closer to the pedestrian and, you know, cleans up the architecture a little bit.
Okay. Should we move on?
Let me see, sorry. So the next one is 90, wait, that's 96. It is 16 Sunset Hill.
Yep.
Okay.
So page 5. We all there?
Okay.
Yep.
16.
Yeah.
So again, we want to remove the existing sign from the physical building and bring a new sign out to the split rail fence on the street. We're hoping that this, as I've kind of said before, removes an inappropriate feature from the original architecture, and also brings signage closer to the passerby or visitor, so that they know that they've arrived at the site. So I believe it's an improvement, and again, we can review that signage, the actual layout of the graphics, and maybe to Kevin's point, trying to find a more horizontally orientated format for the sign.
Okay. Kevin, do you have any thoughts?
No, nothing to add.
Okay. Paul,
No, I'm all set.
Mark,
So
okay. Okay.
Okay, so then, sorry. Oops. So 50 Prospect Street,
Yep. So the old mill.
Okay.
So page 5, there's currently no sign at the old mill. So this would, I believe there's maybe a rock with a date on it somewhere, but that's just from my own running around there with the kids recently. I can't remember where it is. But we are looking to add just a sign to the split rail fence, Old Mill 1746, and very similar to the oldest house, although actually a smaller sign.
I-
Any comments, Kevin?
Nothing new.
Okay, Paul,
Fine.
Mark,
fine at this time.
okay. Thanks.
is that it? Okay. And then,
Did I miss Vestal, the jail?
no, I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
There we go. 15R Vestal. Okay, there you go, page 5.
All right, so yeah, we're just replacing the existing sign on the jail. This is a place where there's an existing sign out on the street. It's kind of I think it's a freestanding sign. It's been there a very long time. They're going to repair that sign, just repaint it. So no change there, just a repair because it's a little shabby at the moment. But back on the actual building, we wanted to get it off the building, but we didn't want a freestanding sign, so we just said, all right, we'll just replace the one that's on there. And I guess, again, we will look at the name of the building, the date, and the logo of the NHA, and provide a better scaling of that.
Okay. Any comments, Kevin?
No.
Mark?
No.
Paul?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
And the last one. Okay,
Last one, 1800 house.
yep,
And page 5, there's an existing sign there. Again, I'll provide you exact dimensions and a photograph of the existing sign, and we're just looking to replace that sign with kind of our updated signage. Again, logo, name of building are going to be improved in scale and placement at our next meeting.
Okay. Kevin?
I can't quite tell. Is there a fence in front of this, or is it?
There is. There's a
right here.
board fence with a little handrail, and I think we had looked at trying to get the sign on the fence, and now I can't. This is now like 4 months ago, but there was a reason why it just didn't work. It's as natural, the weather fence. I have to ask actually why, but for some reason it just made more sense to keep with what we had, just replace with the new sign. But there was a reason why.
Okay. My only other thought is I think what's there identifies the building just fine, but my sense is that that entrance isn't used for access. At least when I've gone in there, it's been on the other side of the building.
Okay.
Because I believe that's like one big classroom across the front, one or two.
Yeah, I can ask Ashley how they use it, or that door's used.
So Kevin, are you suggesting that the sign should be located closer to the actual entrance?
Well, it depends what I think what's there is fine if you want to identify the building. But if your idea is to get people I'm just not sure that that's a door that people can go through. That's all. And maybe that's not up to us anyway, but just a question.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any comments? Mark?
No.
Paul?
No,
Okay. Thanks. So that concludes the presentation of the applications, correct then?
Yes.
Yep. That's all I got for you.
So it seems like there's pretty much in every case anyway, you're going to go back and do a little more research on existing and look at scale of the signs and the fonts, et cetera.
Yep.
Do you feel like you've received the guidance that you need from this meeting?
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. So these are all individual applications, but let's do just an across the board motion then to hold for revisions, I suppose we'll call it. Does that seem like it makes sense to everybody? Somebody want to make that motion?
Make that motion.
Okay.
Hold for revisions.
second,
All right. All right. Those in favor, Kevin?
Aye.
Paul?
aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And the chair's aye. So that concludes the items on the agenda as far as applications are concerned.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
if I may, just wanted to touch quickly on enforcement. I don't know if you all noticed, but 1 and 3 Mariner are now, they put in their DOT standard issued signs right now. It's the smaller stop signs in one way. So they replaced them with the Department of Transportation signs for right now.
Okay.
And they also took down, they had these emblems at the boat basin. They removed those. And they also removed or reduced the other signs at their Harbor House property, or the one on South Beach Street, is it? And they're going to come in for a sign plan. But just wanted to keep you up to date on that.
Okay.
That's good, Kathy.
Yeah.
I noticed they've changed the one on Street, or no, it isn't, maybe Union Street. But did they do the one down by the White?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, great.
Yeah. Oh, but what did you say, the White Elephant or the water?
White Elephant.
It's it's across from the one,
Across from Lola, right?
across
Yeah.
from Lola.
They reduced that sign. They're coming in for a sign plan with that.
Okay.
They did change them. But
Okay,
yeah. So
that's good. Good work.
yeah. So moving in the right direction.
I thought I would just add, I know last week we talked about there's basically no enforcement, which is cool. I did overhear Amy Baxter on her asking for licensing for dining and so forth outside. She asked the select board for a waiver on all the umbrellas with logos on them for this year.
Right. Yeah.
So at least we all know.
And if I may, they also have in that only temporary for this season, not to return
Right.
next season. So they made that
Okay.
perfectly clear. They want to enforce the downtown look. So without Bud Light umbrellas.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one that popped up that I noticed, which is interesting, is in front of Force 5. They have a in their yard, which is screened by hedges, but they've put a pop-up tent, which I don't know if it's just sort of an outdoor sales area, but it has the O'Neill. It's a pop-up tent provided by the O'Neill company. So it's, you know, I feel like maybe this summer is the exception, but seeing that made me think that other companies could be thinking the same way. So
Right.
if we should maybe just, I wonder if we should put out a letter or any kind of announcement that just says the policy is for this summer to look the other way. However, or even better, say that the Board of Selectmen have, you know, voted to suspend that for the summer, but be aware that next year it's, the guidelines will be enforced again.
Even the
Right.
I wonder if the paper would actually do a little blurb as well.
Yeah. I don't
I
know.
just I'd be careful that we don't invite more people.
I agree with you.
People might not be aware of it, and we may just be inviting more. So
Yeah, no,
Right.
that's true. That's true.
Right.
Let's
Right.
do it in September.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe sending a notice out saying, okay, you've had your,
I believe it's till November, actually. I
Oh.
believe I'm not quite sure, but I'll have to verify with that.
good to know.
Yeah, okay. All right.
it's been very
Okay,
helpful
so-
seeing the visuals, Kathy. I'm glad you were able to figure that out because I couldn't.
Visuals of,
Of the applications
yes,
for today. That worked out great.
yeah.
Good
That's on
job.
flash drive. Thank you. All
All
right.
right. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
A roll
Aye.
call,
Aye.
roll
Roll call
Mr.
vote.
Chair,
Okay,
roll call.
fine. Kevin,
I
Paul,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and I.
Is Ben still here?
Yeah, me too.
Oh, and Ben.
Oh, yeah, Ben.
All
Okay,
right, guys.
thank you, guys.
You
Thank you.
bet.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
too.
You too.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.